Hello, I'm going to show you how to set up an IAM account that you can use with the AWS CLI and with CoPilot. I'll also show you how to install, at least on a Mac, the AWS CLI and the CoPilot CLI. The first thing you'll have to do is to sign in to your AWS console, either as a root user or an administrator level user with console access. Then what you'll do is you'll click on IAM. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a user that has access for the CLI. I already have a user group set up for administrators. So I'm going to use that group. Now, in practice, what you'd want to do is you'd want to try to set up a group that just has the permissions that you need for the particular tasks you're doing. For the purpose of this video, though, because I'm being agnostic about that, though I will eventually want to use CoPilot in particular, so enabling the services that CoPilot needs would make sense in a group. I'd encourage you to do that in a production setting. However, I'm just going to go ahead and create a new user by clicking on Users. I'll click Add User, and I'll call this user CoPilot. And in particular, the access I want is not console access. I want programmatic access because I want to use the AWS CLI. Next, I'll click Permissions, and I'll select the user group that I want to use. So I'm going to go ahead and put this user in the administrator's user group. Tags are just for looking things up. They don't actually do anything as far as the system goes. So I'm going to just go ahead and skip the tags. And then I'll create the user. In order to install the CLI on a Mac, I'll need to open up Terminal and run this command. I'll send out a link that I have similar commands for Linux and a link to the documentation for downloading the Windows MSI installer. So here is the command. If you look what this is doing, it's using curl to grab this PKG and it's saving it as this file. Then it's running the installer from there and installing it at the root level. This will take just a second. I already have it installed. Since we're using sudo, you'll have to provide your password for your computer. All right, so it's installed now. And that was sufficient to install AWS. I'll show you how to authenticate into it in a minute. But first, let's go ahead and install CoPilot. CoPilot is available for Mac and Linux with Brew. So I'm just going to use Brew to install. I'll also send a link that will show how to install it with Windows, as well as other options for installing with Mac and Linux if you don't wish to use Brew. All right, and we're good to go at this point. So let's go ahead and get one more thing from our new user, which is that in order to authenticate into AWS through the AWS CLI, I'm going to have to give two pieces of information. I'm going to need to use my access ID, and I'm also going to need my secret access key. To use this, type AWS configure. You'll be prompted for your access key, which is this one right here. And you'll also be prompted for your secret access key. So now we're good to go there. It'll ask you for a default region name. I encourage you to select one. It does let you pass with no answer, but I'm going to choose US East 2 because that's the region closest to me. The default output format, I'll go ahead and leave blank. And that's it. I'm now authenticated with the AWS CLI. CoPilot shares the same configuration, so I'll now be able to use CoPilot as well in order to do my deploys.